Australian homes are built completely different to British ones, and although I've almost lived here for 2 years, there are still things I'm discovering, like this bathroom being higher than the rest of the floor, that genuinely stops me in my tracks. I cannot tell you the amount of times I've stubbed my poor little bare toe on these rock solid, hard floors. Not complaining, of course, but this is one of the 7 things that completely shocked me about Aussie homes. And by the end of this video, you will never walk into an Aussie home the same again. So grab a cuppa, I'm so excited to get into this video. And a quick side note, I'm based in Brisbane, Queensland, the Sunshine State. Because it's such a huge continent, I found that the architecture does change dramatically different with it. So a few things that apply to my home might be different from yours. Number 2 is floor drains inside of the home. Once I clocked the raised floors in Australian bathrooms, the next thing I clocked were the drainage holes in the bathrooms themselves, not just the downstairs ones, you know, because places like Brisbane can be very prone to flooding, but also in the upstairs bathrooms. Every single one of the bathrooms in our house has a drainage hole. For shower rooms, this is genius. Where there's a bathtub, it's genius. You get out of the bath, and even if there's a foot towel down there, you'll still be splashing about. You'll be having a great time, and water will be going all over the tiles, and it can be very slippy. So having a drainage hole, great. It feels like a smart flood prevention thing, because Brisbane especially is very prone to flooding. But the thing is, if you're not in a flood prone area, why do you need a drainage hole in the downstairs bathroom if you know your area doesn't flood? I just think it's really bizarre, because I'm like, surely people who are washing their hands in my downstairs bathroom aren't spilling that much water. Anyway, once you start getting on with your life and you look past the drains in the tiles, you notice that the floors lack one very big thing that is so strange to a Brit, and that's number 3, the lack of carpets. Now, remember my disclaimer at the start, this is coming into play here. If you go to a home in, Victoria or South Australia, places like that, you very often find carpets in the floor. So, I'm not saying all homes in Australia don't have carpets, but in Brisbane, it is very rare. In the UK, having a carpet on the floor is basically the given for any house. Now, unless you have a lot of money and live in a really posh home in the UK, almost every room apart from the sometimes hallway, laundry cupboard if you have one, kitchen and bathroom, will have carpet. But having seen so many Brisbane homes, not just from friends and family and places we've lived, but also all the viewings we've been to try and secure this house that we're in right now, they all have tiles or wooden floors. We've currently got tiles downstairs, which is bliss for summer. It keeps the house so cool, way cooler than floorboards in my opinion, unless you're in a Queenslander, which we'll get to. But this is quite bizarre to me because even the Sunshine State gets pretty chilly in winter. So walking into my lounge, which is all tiles on a chilly Brisbane winter, it's quite cold. Anyway, wait until you see what's waiting behind the front door in an Aussie home, or isn't waiting there, because number 4, sorry, such a cheesy segue. Number 4, no proper entrance hallway. I remember the first time I entered my in-laws' house in Brisbane, and we opened the door after we walked onto the veranda, opened the door, and there we were in the lounge. And I thought, cool, but very different. In the UK, you almost always have a hallway. In the UK, like I've talked about in other videos, you feel like you're a bit on edge, you have to be a bit more proper, a bit more polite. You come in, you're into the corridor, you're into the hallway, you gotta ask to take your shoes off. But in Australia, I realized that hallways are just not a thing here. And loads of Aussie homes just open straight into the first room, into the house, without any sort of buffer. It's straight into the action and the chatting, the food, the drinks, and having a good time. To contradict myself though, I do kind of miss the British culture of the hallway being a place where you can put the little key cupboard and the mirror and the coat rack, and often there's a radiator in the hallway, and there's something very cozy about it around Christmas time. I do miss it, but I also like how simple and minimalist it is in Australia without having one. And a quick one, I was looking through the channel analytics the other day, and I noticed that 82.6% of you who regularly watch these videos aren't yet subscribed. So if that's you and you actually enjoy these videos, would you mind checking if you're subscribed now? I'll be completely honest with you, it is literally just me making these videos. I don't have a team. I script write, edit, film, upload all of these myself. And subscribing is the one free thing that actually supports the channel and helps me keep making these videos. It was always my dream to be a YouTuber, so thank you so much. Back to it. Number 5, there are no radiators or central heating.
generalization. I'm sure you'll find them somewhere in Australia. You're probably thinking, Sam, why do you need central heating? You're in Australia. You're in Brisbane. It's bloody boiling. This is the coldest Australian winter I've ever experienced. And I've experienced 2 Australian winters. There's a specific night I remember back in my parents' home in the UK where it was sometime in December and the clock on the boiler had gone off to switch on the radiators in the house, and you hear this like symphony of the clanking and the water running through the radiators, and slowly the house starts to warm up and feel alive, and there's a bit of a smell to it, not a bad smell, a really nice smell, and there's just something so gorgeous and homely about it. And in Australia, it feels really bizarre to me that the same units that provide air conditioning and keep us cool in the summers are what we also heat the houses with in Brisbane. And so it feels strange that, especially when I've cleaned the filters this year and seen the amount of mold coming off the AC filters, it feels strange getting an electronic remote, turning on the unit, and then hot air coming out of it. But what I found is that because the homes are designed to keep you as cool as possible and to basically not trap in the hot air, as soon as you switch the AC heater unit off, all of that hot air just disappears and you are yet again cold. But that feeling passes very quick, because then you look outdoors and the sunshine is golden and you're looking at palm trees and oh, there's a bush turkey in my garden again, creating one of those weird piles. And you remember why you moved to Australia in the first place. Yes, it has its quirks. Yes, if you're from a different culture, you will come here, you will love parts of it and also think other parts are really strange. But I think that's just the joy of living somewhere new, being a foreigner. It is so exciting. But anyway, it's not just the temperature control that's a bit topsy-turvy here. It's number 6. Letterboxes have their own little home. Okay, this one feels so American to me, like when you see on The Simpsons, the outdoor mailbox where you flick the little flag up. And I've noticed this not just for houses, but even apartment blocks. I used to stay in an apartment block here in Australia, and they would be in like a big concrete slab outside the apartment building, so outside in the elements, and they'd just be stacked on top of each other, almost like a mini apartment block. And I don't mean this lightly, it shocked me. Because in the UK, the postie or the delivery person, they will come all the way to the front door, and they don't put it in an outdoor mailbox, they shove it through the letterbox in the actual door. My wife Maddie, I think she found that a bit bizarre at first, because it's like almost someone's in your home, they're kind of reaching through in a way. But it is quite a nice touch that in Australia, it gets its own little home. There's all sorts of cool designs, except there is a catch to it. And I'm sorry, Aussies, I have to say, I think the UK front door letterbox is better. I have found that if I forget to check the mailbox that day and there's a big rainstorm and I've had some important mail arrive, the letterbox sometimes gets flooded and your mail gets so wet and soggy and your mail becomes unintelligible. Whereas in the UK, if you get post, you cannot miss it. It is literally right in front of you in your hallway. It's come through the door. Also, if you're into these kind of culture shock comparisons, feel free to sign up to my weekly newsletter. I put more tips, tricks, and fun things in there, so you can scan the QR code here or click the link in the description below. Okay, number 7, the houses on stilts is what I would call them. The professional term is a Queenslander house. Nothing prepares you for the first time driving through Queensland, somewhere like Brisbane, somewhere like Noosa, and you see all of these houses that are lifted into the sky. And you're like, how is that happening? And you look below and there's all these wood stilts that they're on. Especially if you find one being built or renovated, you will see the exposed infrastructure of a Queenslander house. And it's just fantastic. It's like these homes are prepared for anything. Floods, snowstorms. Has that ever happened in Queensland? But it makes complete sense to me because it creates this lovely airflow in and around the home. By raising it up, it basically keeps the air circulating, the hot air can come out, the clean, fresh, cool air can come in, and it's a really cool system. You go further south in Australia and homes will look completely different. They're more similar to British architecture, made out of bricks a lot more and designed more to keep the heat in instead of getting it out. But at first glance, these Queenslander houses did shock me because I thought, well, you get cyclones in Australia. What if a cyclone absolutely rips the home up from the ground? Surely the house is just going to blow off the the wooden stilts. Obviously not an engineer or an architect if you can't tell, but if you're in a flood prone area, oh my word, you're winning. Honestly, it's the small stuff like this that makes moving somewhere new so fascinating. But homes aren't the only thing that Aussies do differently. There's a whole collection of household items and inventions that I had genuinely never seen before until I moved here. So go watch that video here, you can click it. Thanks for watching to the end, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.